For the first time since Phoenix, the Velocity Online Racing League has a doubleheader, and it's at no track other than Gateway. Welcome back to the Worldwide Technology Raceway. You're watching the Velocity Online Racing League, and tonight it's going to come down to two races, a doubleheader kicking off with a 40-lap road course event with qualifying concluded and the starting grid already in formation. Some of the fastest drivers in this series, of course, making their way in for the first race of the day. Got 20 drivers registered so far, and as a result, most of which already going to be on the starting grid. Welcome back live on FTN. I'm David Kreutz, joined by Gary Godso with all tonight's racing action coming at you starting in just a few minutes. Of course, Gary, as we get into the going tonight, qualifying lineup has already been decided, so we're going to get that on the screen momentarily. We're seeing the Gateway road course, though, for the first time. It's an exciting change here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Not two oval races like what we saw at Phoenix, but instead a difference in track configuration. 40 laps or 33 minutes, that is the time allotted for our first race of the day. How do you think it's going to play out here at a bit of a roval, and not a common one at that?
I thought we were on the oval because I'm looking at the pole speed of 182.206, and that is not a road course speed. But Josh Tucker on the pole, 182.206 miles per hour, which is far off the IndyCar track record by about 10 miles per hour. But right next to him is Mark Murphy. If you want to bring up the starting lineup, we can go ahead and get it underway because they are moving on the grid right now for the pace lap.
And there you can see it. It looks like, looking at the track configuration, you're going to be right about that. It's a super short race, though, 40 laps. So it's not going to be a different configuration as we get the final confirmation. Rather, one short race and one much longer. So we're breaking it up and getting this sprint in as almost a practice session. And Joshua Tucker going to be at the top of the board. Then going to be Mark Murphy, Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, Matthias Strauss, Patrick Zovazzi, Liam O'Sullivan. Going to be 7th, Gary Lovern 8th, and Sebastian Kinder 9th, with Bruno Miranda rounding out the top 10. And you'll see rest of the grid from here. Looks like a total of 16 drivers took a time, and the rest of the field choosing not to. We're already half a lap away here from the beginning of our racing, and the drivers are set up for what's going to be a very quick race, all things considered.
Yeah, points leader Bruno's got a long way to go to get up to the front, actually. I mean, that's 10 spots. Actually kind of surprised to see where he qualified there, but pretty much everybody with a good qual lap in the 177 or hires, but 16th on back either had a little trouble or decided just to forego and start from the rear. Here we go.
And time to get things moving. Joshua Tucker on the pole position gets the jump. Green flags out. The 77 leads us in. At the line here, it's going to be Joshua Tucker in control for lap number 1. 40-lap race. You got to wonder what are these drivers going to do, because this is a doubleheader. These races do count as individual events, even though this one is very, very short. With how little time we have on the table, expecting it all come down to the system of track position. A few drivers getting qualifying bans. Jesper Orman, Jonas Weber, and Alexander Bonney among one other in Julian Altena. Nonetheless, you're looking at some of those drivers at the back of the field trying to make that climb. Weber, one of the drivers with a quali ban, now side by side here with Pedro Blabel, and the number 75 posts through for 17th. Early going, everyone is, relatively speaking, far distant from one another. And we get to figure out who's got what it takes, as so far Joshua Tucker leading the opening stretch. Now we're already up to lap 4.
Yeah, with this race this short is going to be push, push, push. This is even shorter than a IndyCar Oval Series official race. Normally those races at least have one pit stop involved. This will be push, push, push every single lap for these guys. So these tires, I don't think they'll get a chance to really change tires unless they get a caution. If they go caution-free, that I don't expect anybody going to pit road. Track position is king here, and already seeing some big movers on the field. We got Look at refresh my overlay here. Craig Forsyth is up a spot to third. Salvazzi's up 2. Miranda's up 5. So Miranda's made halfway up to the front versus where he started. So that's good for him because that's going to bode well on how he performs in the second race tonight. But this is, I'm kind of surprised at the distance of this first race. I figured it'd be a little bit longer. But, last night we had the race of the DW12 series. And, maybe the track workers had to work a little extra long to repair the walls because last night was a bit of a crash fest. So maybe that's why we're having a shorter race today.
A little bit of preparation, hopefully not going to repeat such an outcome we saw in the racing of the DW12.
It's Tucker getting loose, got down on the rumble strips in turns 3 and 4. That is a big-time driver error. He should know better than that. And he gets loose, and he loses as a result 5 positions. Move Murph up to the front with Forsyth now taking a peek on the inside, coming into 3 and 4.
Now Craig Forsyth is going to dive down to the bottom side. There goes the 69 up top, and Craig trying to take the lead, hoping to get a road course victory in the mix here at the line again. And Forsyth still hanging tough down to the inside here into turns 1 and 2. Going to be a very quick move to the bottom side to try to take that race lead in the 40 Raceway machine. And Mark Murphy hanging tough here, but it's not going to be easy. And we'll see what he can do. It's definitely going to be a hard-fought battle in the early going because this might be the one only chance anyone has to grab the lead with Tucker fading back so quickly. Forsyth, he sees the opportunity. He's kept it side by side to this point.
Yeah, now, since some of your folks have watched, and here comes Bruno now up to third. Since a lot of your folks kind of watch NASCAR line around here is right on the bottom. IndyCar, you could go too wide through these corners, and still the top line and the bottom line are pretty equal. It's the momentum at the top line is really what keeps you in the mix here. So you're going to see 2 different lines through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for that matter. But the top line, as you watch right here, here's Murph on the top line. He's going to middle of the corner, start to move up. But, I think he was maybe getting a little bit of an arrow wash because right now he had a car underneath him.
Joshua Tucker is destroyed and he is stalled. He's going to go down a pit road, and your former race leader already, I think his night is done. We're going to take a look back and find out what caused it, but started with losing that pace and getting down into 5th. Here's a look one more time at what could have caused it here. He's already 1 lap down and dead last.
Yeah, just got loose coming off the corner. And just a bad couple of days for him at Gateway. Started on the pole last night also from the DW12 race and didn't make it to turn 2 before he kind of got loose and started spinning. So, been a bad weekend for Josh. I think one that he'd like to forget here at Gateway.
Already in such a great amount of trouble. Also, Lee Kane, and it looks like on series debut, the number 19 machine is not going to be in the mix, but the 4 goes down to pit road here, and it looks like front end damage. That nose cone and the suspension both gone. That's another huge wreck, and we'll take one more look back quick here to find out what caused it. It looked like Lee was on his own in the number 4, and maybe similar to Joshua Tucker in the same regard of just getting loose and going around as we're watching at a 2. Yup, loose end comes right back up the track.
Yeah. Well, Bruno's now up to P2 now. It's going to be interesting. He's taking a look to the inside of Forsyth. And 3 and 4 is going to have a bit of it tucks back in underneath on the front straight. Going to go work on the draft. Going to pull out now, going down the 1 and 2. You're going to see a little bit of what Murph and Craig were doing last time. See Craig on the high side is going to have a big run off the high side. Problem with the high side is that wall comes up and greets you rather quickly on the corner of exit 2 or turn 2. And you got to watch yourself there. But you got a good run down the backstretch. Look, he's got a good high run in 3 and 4. He's going to get a good run down the front stretch. And all that momentum on the top side is more than enough to kind of hold Bruno at bay.
Right now, Craig Forsyth doing what he must to keep up with a race lead, but Bruno with a huge load of momentum coming out of 2, and going to be the high side going down to the bottom. Big swap in, and Bruno Miranda takes the lead yet again. The 78 up to the top of the board, and he's been unstoppable so far this season. He won one of our doubleheader races when we went to Phoenix, and it looks like he's in prime position to maybe do it again. This time, hoping to grab the first race of the day with ease. 16 laps in out of 40. So for those just tuning in, this is not the only race. We're going to have our second race, much longer, 120 lap feature after this one. So with that being said, you're going to stick around for about a half hour until we get the second race going. And Miranda, with already perhaps the lead and the win in his belt, Well, we got to see if he keeps it in front of Forsyth and company. That's going to give him further buffer in the championship standings. He's the points leader already and hoping to stretch it much more.
And he's pulling away by 4/10 over Forsyth. All right, now joining this battle up at the front now is Salvazzi. Salvazzi's right there on the backside of Murphy. He's kind of been there the whole time, but he's kind of crept back into the picture a lot closer because we've been watching the battles. Cars spinning down the back stretch, our front stretch. That's Chin Van Velde.
And the caution is out, and it's going to be that 76 that got slower, and that brings out the first yellow of the day. And here's
Let's see what happens at Chin here. He just dives it into 3. He has Julian come underneath him. Of course, you want to give your teammate and team manager a lot of space. And yeah, he was just on the high side, and the exit of 4 came up a lot quicker than it normally does. And it bounced off the wall.
Either way, minor damage, so he should be able to continue, and we are under caution for the first time here in Gateway. Going to be now, everyone getting back in order. Bruno Miranda with the race lead, and we're coming to our halfway point by the time this caution ends. So, a lot of the strategy already put through for the race, and it's going to be less than 20 laps when we get back at it. So, the question becomes now, Craig Forsyth, former leader, Joe Vazzi and Murphy, they've been close as well. Can anyone get past Bruno Miranda now that he's taken the early race lead?
It looks like Strauss and Julian decided to go ahead and take the opportunity to pit. Santos as well. Christensen, Inch, Mikado, they've all pitted. So they're all going to go for a new set of tires and try to make this last 20-lap sprint a little exciting. They should all be good to go for fuel. An IndyCar can do more than 40 laps here on a single stint of fuel.
Strategy, not much of a concern in that regard. A few drivers just coming down a pit road. You see Strauss, Altena, Santos, Christensen, Ench, and Eric Mikado all coming through. So they'll be in early as they're now back on the track. 11 drivers choosing to stay out from Bill Colley up front.
Yeah, Bill Colley coming off his first career VOR IndyCar win. Actually, it says it's his first career win in any league last night at the WWT race that we had here. He outlasted the Carnage and outlasted Edson Santos by about 6 laps on that last stint of fuel. And a brutally harsh attrition race. Won his first career race in a great story. So he's looking to repeat that. He's on the cusp of the top 10. Not sure if he'll be able to crack the top 10 because a lot of those cars behind him are going to be coming very, very high, very aggressively in this last, now less than 20 lap sprint.
And being at the back here, not going to help him. Not any buffer for Bruno Miranda and company. There's a lot of time to spare with 20 laps remaining. We'll be going back green with about 18 to go, it looks like. Miranda there with Forsyth, Mark Murphy, and also Patrick Zovazzi. One driver we haven't mentioned so far on his very first race of the season, it's Matt Wagner, the number 6. And Wagner right now running inside the top 5 ahead of Liam O'Sullivan. So a great way to start the campaign here. Maybe Wagner going to show us something and get inside of the leading battle now that everyone's bunched up once again. So keep an eye out for a brand new driver of the series, Wagner up in front, and so far the rookie of the race.
Yeah, no doubt Matty Wagner could do it. He is a IndyCar veteran, and from DW12s up to the IR18 from the Dark Horse Series, which we also have here on Race First or on my Race First channel, and also a veteran of the Lionheart Series. So a very well-studied IndyCar driver. I expect him to get right up there with those top 3. Savazzi is really impressing me with his pace right now, and Savazzi might have a shot at the podium here. If he can get the drop on Murph, or if Forsyth and Miranda get into racing, he might be able to get up into a situation where those guys are kind of too busy racing each other and they forget about him, and he kind of moves to the front. So we'll see how Savazzi hangs on, but definitely keep an eye on Matty Wagner. He definitely has a skill set to get up with these guys. He was on the he's actually in the ISRE Truck Series that we broadcast on Monday night, and he won that Monday night race. So it's been a good week for him.
Maybe a chance to go to get the checkered flag once again, looking at the bubble outside the top three of Zovazzi and Matt Wagner. We'll be going back, it looks like this time by Bruno Miranda is in control. 18 laps to go when we get back to the green flag. Everyone lining up right up high, and we're going to get back at it here in the Ryder Engineering Gateway 200. It's going to be Miranda up top, and Forsyth right behind him. Here we go. It's going to be the number 78 getting the jump and rolling down to the start-finish line. Green flag out once again. 18 laps to go from here. Bruno gets on the move.
Good jump by Bruno, and not a good jump by Craig because Murph is right there with him.
So Miranda on the way now with a 0.8 of a second lead, and that's a big bubble here, given the fact there's going to be only 17 laps left. Early start, getting the jump good. And
cars sideways coming off of 4. Strauss, one of the new tire guys.
And we're back to being caution again. Wow.
And that's really good news for Craig. That's really good news for Craig because Craig did not. I don't think Craig had a good restart with Bruno. Bruno snookered him pretty good. So Bruno's not probably happy about this one because he was looking to pull away. But we're going to reset one more time, and we're going to see if anybody else in that top group decides they're going to stop for another set of tires, see this as another opportunity. But again, fuel, everyone should be okay.
It's a solo spin for the second time, and it looks like this time Matthias Strauss losing control and bringing out the caution. Yellow's out, and we're going to have now, I think, 13 laps to go, and we go back green. Goes to show how quick this race has been, even though we're already up to our second caution. Bruno Miranda has the lead now, and he got a huge jump there. The question now becomes whether or not he can even replicate that feat. Got him up there to begin with, but I don't quite know whether or not he can do it once again.
Yeah, if I was Craig, I would be camped out on the rear attenuator of Bruno there. I would not leave a lot of room. And the second that car gets any smaller in my vision, I'm on my accelerator. But I'm not going to question really Craig. I'll just say what I'll do if I was in his shoes. Craig has way more victories, either in the VOR series, Lionheart series, you name it, than I do. So I suspect he knows what he's doing, but he didn't look like he got a good restart that last time. So he probably likes this opportunity to give it another shot. Lights are out in the pace car.
We'll have 14 laps left. Slightly shorter caution as a result, and we'll get going again. Craig Forsyth there in second. Bruno Miranda going to be in first, and maybe now we'll see whether or not Bruno can bring it back for the race lead or if someone else is going to have a better shot here. High side, they'll go. We're going to ride on board with Craig Forsyth for this restart and see exactly what happens as we take a look on the roll bar camera. First gear, just a few thousand revs a minute. Nobody's fuel saving for good reason. There's not enough time to fuel save, so no need to worry. Here we go. Through the 5-hour energy band of turns 3 and 4, and back to the Geico restart zone. It's going to be 14 laps left. We're 27 laps in out of 40 already. Now going to see who's got what it takes to pull it home as the pace car dives in, and Bruno Miranda will get us rolling once again.
I'd be a little bit closer, but that's just me. And there he goes. And I think he was a little slow on the start there. Look at his steering offset. That's something, one of the things you can change in a fixed setup race is the steering offset. So he has it a couple degrees already set to the left.
Miranda already far and away. I mean, at this point, you got to wonder if anyone can pull him back down to earth.
Yeah.
Even if there is a caution, maybe an opportunity to just get it done for this first race. We are expecting, if you saw the thumbnail here for tonight's event, some changes as the day goes on. Expecting, as we saw at Phoenix, a day race and a night race. So even if Miranda is so good right now, we don't know if he'll be that way in the main feature where conditions are due to change. Right now in our day event.
Matty Wagner making a move on Savazzi. Move Matty Wagner up the 4th spot. Told you. Watch him.
And there he goes, taking another spot. Wagner going to be up to 4th, but Patrick Zilvazzi cutting deep. Looking down to the bottom side now as we have 12 laps to go. Patrick Zilvazzi lies down on the bottom side. Can't quite get the run to pull back for the spot, but he remains close, and it's going to be a battle to look out for here. Still a point of contention as they rush down the back straightaway all over again.
Yeah, just kind of give you an idea of the experience of the 4 drivers that we're watching right now. Bruno Miranda, 4.1K iRating. Craig has a 4.2K iRating. Mark Murphy has a 5.3K iRating. And Matty Wagner, a 3.1K iRating. So these guys up at the front run these cars an awful lot. And you can see by their iRating that they are very experienced. And Savazzi's no slouch either. He's a 3.4. I'm not sure how much experience he's had versus the rest of these guys in front of him in the IR18.
Well, right now, he is keeping Matt Wagner honest. It's not been a far and away run for the number 6. It looks like Wagner getting the spot, but that's really all he's got. And maybe an opportunity for him to pull away a bit further in these final laps. 9 laps to go. It is just about over as soon as it began. And as such, it's going to be Bruno Miranda pulling through, trying to get it done. And at this point, he could really coast it around with 9 laps, making it 8 to go this time by. Craig Forsyth more than a second away.
Yeah, 1.3 seconds at one point going into turn 3 and 4. He is just flying. I'm just not quite sure how he's so much faster than everyone, but he is that darn good, folks. And then we got Forsyth, who's now got himself a little bit of a buffer to Murph. Murph, I think, is going to get a little attacked here by Wagner here in the next lap or two.
So maybe now Mark Murphy with an opportunity to take one more spot, but with Matt Wagner there too, he's in a bit of a sandwich up in front. The fight for the podium definitely not done, and even Patrick Zilvazzi may lay a finger as they're side by side right behind. Liam O'Sullivan, Patrick Zilvazzi not going to be there, but it's Seb Kinder and
Look
Julian.
Look at this, Matt. Whoa, jeez.
Now they're going to be neck and neck further behind the top 5, and they are not going to leave an inch among each other. Julian up top, Kinder down low, and Jonas Weber, 2 of your 4 drivers with qualifying bans, are now up inside the top 10 and making moves fast. Another pass there for Julian. That puts the 11 up into 6th.
Couple of the race sponsor cars there. They want to do well.
The Ryder 63, you're watching it right now. Looks like Julian going to make the pass fast, and Craig Forsyth side by side now with Mark Murphy. 5 laps to go. Right in the back bumper of them both, it's going to be Matt Wagner, and it's going to be that rear attenuator all shoved up with the 6 pulling in right behind Mark Murphy 69. There goes Forsyth. He's up to 2nd, and see there, Murphy now going to be in the middle of the sandwich again. It looks like Craig defending nicely, and he might have a chance to pull through the home stretch and get it done in the runner-up spot now.
Yeah, all it takes is just one little lift to interrupt your momentum around here, and you kind of fall back into someone else's clutches. And now here's Savazzi on the inside of Wagner, trying to get that position back. It's not going to be side by side going into 3. He was right there for a little bit, but Wagner had the benefit of the draft from Murph. 4 to go. Now 3 to go, I think. Yep, 3 to go.
That it is. 3 laps remaining. Bruno Miranda. And it seems like he goes from strength to strength with these races at this rate. He is already far and away the championship favorite. It's not to say it's locked up just yet, but he's collecting just about every win in sight. Short of Indianapolis, of course, Jesper Uhrmann, but we haven't seen Jesper since. So right now it's Bruno Miranda's stage, and he's been working through every race, just about as well as the next. 2 laps left, popsicle sticks are out, and the only battles lie further on back beyond the podium. Wagner still there with Zilvazzi, and now trying to make a move on Mark Murphy, as it's going to be Miranda coming down to the white flag this time by.
Yeah, staring his 5th win of the season in the face here. Just got to do another 1.25 miles here. Julian now in that battle, if you noticed, with coming up on the back end of Zilvazzi. So maybe he can scratch out a top 5. Wagner! And we might enter the caution here. Oh, yeah, we are going to definitely enter the caution.
Destruction. It's going to be Bruno Miranda coming around, but we've got big trouble. 5th win of the season for Bruno. He'll come across the stripe as your winner, and everyone from 10th on back is destroyed. Look at Jonas Weber, Dan Ench. They're still sliding. And we're going to take a look back here. Wagner, who looked just about locked in for a top 5, he'll finish 16th.
Let's see what happened. He got Zilvazzi behind him. Oh, Zilvazzi gave him a little bit of help. I don't know if it was net code.
And then from there, Ench involved, Pedro Blabel involved. Looks like Gary Lovren and Matthias Strauss going to be on pit road already. And you see Jonas Weber and even Bill Colley, who just barely got by. So the running order shifting drastically at the end of this race. Ooh. And Bruno had to avoid those lappers. They were still sideways by the time they came across the stripe yet again. Yellow flag is out at the checkered, and Bruno Miranda wins from Gateway, race 1 of the day.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think that might be a penalty on Zilvazzi. He just kind of runs right into the outside of Wagner there. And he might have washed up into him, but that's when he had the air wash. He had Murph right in front of him, so he had the dirty air of Murph. Yeah, you got to be responsible for when you run into somebody from behind. Normally it's the person that runs in from behind is the one at fault. And then he might have washed up into him, but I still think that, at least my opinion, maybe someone in chat can say differently. I think maybe Patrick might be looking at a penalty in a future race because of that. But that's a shame because not Murph, but Wagner had himself a great opener here. And I suspect he will be back with a vengeance when his team pulls the virtual backup car off the trailer and gets it ready for the next race.
We're only 20 minutes out from that next race opening here. So first things first, let's take a look at those race results. Win number 5 for Bruno Miranda. He does it again, and it looks like we're going to start 15 minutes early with the next race, so stay tuned. We should be racing again by about 3:45 Eastern here on FTN. Craig Forsyth is going to be in 2nd with Mark Murphy 3rd, then Julian Altena in 4th. 5th place, then going to be Patrick Zilvazzi and Liam O'Sullivan, then in 6th. 7th place is going to be Seb Kinder, John Christensen is 8th, and Edson Santos is 9th, with Eric Mikado rounding out the top 10.
Ollie, just outside the top 10 after his win last night, is 11th. Weber, 12th. Blybell, 13th. We got, who is it? Wagner. We got Wagner classified in 14th. No, Lovren in 14th. Inch in 15th. Wagner in 16th. Strauss in 17th. Van Velde, 18th, Kane, 19th, and Tucker started from the pole, led the first handful of laps, but just not another good day for him at Gateway, yes, finishing last in 20th.
It's interesting because on our side, yes, Ench would be 15th, Wagner 16th, but still being scored, Matt Wagner is, so it's confusing, but I think he does come home 16th. Our graphic does say 14th. Based on iRacing timing, I think he's a few spots lower at the end of the day.
I have Lovren in 14th, so yeah, there's some question there of where he is, but I think if your overlay says 16th, mine says 16th as well. So
16th on the day for the driver Wagner, fighting for a podium. Now let's get a word from your top 3 drivers, and Gary, let's get our final driver on the podium here, Mark Murphy, coming in. Here's the number 69 in the broadcast booth.
Hey, Mark, congratulations on the podium. Not much you can do in 40 laps other than just race really, really hard out there. Talk about your race. Looks like some excitement there toward the end, but you may have been in front of it. Other than that, the only really excitement I saw from your point of view was kind of Josh Tucker grabbing the apron in 3 and 4 at like lap 6.
Yeah, I needed a clean pair of brown pants after that one. It was a fuel mileage race, to be completely honest with you, Gary. We were gonna have to save from the drop. We were gonna have to save like a lap and a half, and
Hmm.
uh, the way the setup was, you didn't want to lead because it was so loose, and you had to run. You had to run in fuel save, and hot dog it. We let Craig and I let Bruno go, and then Caution City happened, and we couldn't get back by him. But really proud of the race first Black Magic designs Little Eagle today, and you know we got a little bit longer of a deal coming up, and as you know, Gateway's a track pretty near and dear to my heart. So we'll see if we can't win the long one.
Shout outs.
Yeah. So I gotta we had a little bit of bad luck last night in the AMA truck race. Had a lead and got removed from the lead summarily. So I'd like to shout out to all the guys on the Black Magic team. How about Derek Jewett and Ted O'Brien getting their first top fives last night, and got to thank you, Gary, at Race First, and Chad and Ryan, Justin, Tanner, Hunter, all the guys at Little Eagle Racing. Awesome dudes. So we're gonna light it up and go again. I like this place.
All right. Congratulations. We'll see you here in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Murphy on the way from third. Looks like right now we do not have our second place finisher, and that would be Craig Forsyth. However, we could bring in our fourth place finisher here, Julian, standing by as well. So let's go to work right now.
I can grab. Let's see if I can grab Craig here.
Forsyth going to be it.
Hey, Craig, we're just going to grab you out of the general voice channel, but we got you here in the booth because you did finish on the podium for the first sprint race here. Again, 40 laps, not a lot of time to do much. You had to save a little bit of fuel, and then while your guys were trying to save fuel, you let Bruno on by, and then lo and behold, he just drives away from everybody.
Yeah, I needed to save just a bit of fuel, so I decided, I was like, it's going to stay green because we didn't have a crash in the first 10 laps, and I was like, okay, if we're not going to have a crash, then we're not going to have a crash.
Right.
So, yeah, in retrospect, it was a poor move to let Bruno by because you're not passing Bruno once he's got the lead. That's just not happening.
Right.
And the setup was so loose that it was all you could do to hang on to the car itself, let alone try and pass someone. I mean, you saw it was, as long as you held the outside line, it was easy to defend from Mark. Anyone that got the run, you just made sure they had the bottom. And with the car as sketchy as it was, they weren't confident enough on the gas to get the power down early. And I mean, that's why Mark had the run on me at the end, is because I decided to go low into 3-4, and he took the outside. And I mean, another 100 yards, he would have had me.
So I think the second part of the doubleheader is going to be longer, and also will be at night. Do you think the handling will come back to these cars, or are you expecting the kind of second verse same as the first type thing?
Gosh, I hope it. I hope it's more planted. It'll be. I mean, interesting to see. I don't think any of us here have tried the setup yet. So it'll be curious to see once it goes live just how interesting it is, and give us a few minutes to play with it and see what we can do.
We'll go ahead and give you.
Hopefully it'll be fun.
We'll go ahead and give you your shout outs, and then we'll let you back on your way for your a little bit of rest here and intermission, and get back on the track here for a race 2. So go right ahead.
Nope. Yeah. Thanks. I got to thank Jim over at 40 Raceway, all the guys there, sponsor for the car, and Julian for running the VOR league. Good sponsors, and thanks you guys for doing the broadcast. And I hope to be talking to you in about an hour and 15 minutes.
You got it, man. Well, congratulations on the P2 for today. That does help in the points championship. Even though it's only 40 laps, it counts as a P2 for a normal race. So congrats there, and I'll move you back up to the regular VC, but hopefully, again, we do talk to you in the second race.
You betcha, man. Thanks. Stay safe.
Yep. All right, Dave, there you go.
Well, there's Craig Forsyth, and we're just a few minutes away from getting the session live, so let's get a word from Bruno Miranda, number 78, fifth win of the campaign, and this time a short sprint, but still another victory by wide margin of 2.5 seconds, good enough for another checkered flag. Bruno, how you feel?
Hi, David. Hi, Gary. I'm very surprised to stay here because I take a mistake in the qualifying and I started in P10. So I'm very surprised to stay here because the track, the setup for in the day, I think is very difficult, very dangerous. So I find the wayjacker from this setup, and the guys I have a little difficult in the beginning of the race.
And either way, making it work nicely without any strategy and such, starting further out in the field relative to the usual, however. So, what was it like working it from tonight, position number 10 for our first race, up to the front with very few breaks?
So I think the night the setup more comfortable. I don't know because the guys here is very fast. Have a Mark, Joshua, Craig, Julian. I don't know because I this qualifying for this first one, this first race. I think I stay in the front, but I have a mistake. So I don't know. I hope to stay in the top 10 or top 5. I think.
Hoping to maybe do it once again. Our second race of the doubleheader and a victory once more, Bruno. Before we move on, you have any final shout outs you'd like to give?
Oh, thank everyone to see this broadcast. Thank you, my team, Roy Export. So thank you guys, and so wow, I'll go to race again.
Yep.
Ready to race once more. We're a few minutes away from going green for the second time. Bruno Miranda, thank you for stopping by. And one more driver waiting on here, the number 11 of Julian. So how about we bring the driver who finished 4th in, even though no qualifying run for this team. Quali ban, 17th to 4th, biggest mover by a mile here. Julian, first race, so we're testing the waters. What was it like?
I was honestly not expecting you to drag me in here, to be honest, but it was a good race. Yeah, I really loved it. It was great. Setup was tricky, as people undoubtedly have already mentioned, but that was the way it was built to be good in traffic for racing, and that's exactly what we got, I think. So definitely worth it. Hopefully, race 2 is going to be just as good, but I really enjoyed myself out there. Um, obviously, because I drove through about what was it, 14 cars. But still, like you could really pass and race well. I felt so it was good. But yeah, up to race 2 now.
And so quick to pass despite a very short amount of laps, only 40 of which nobody else really seemed to have that possibility of making it work quickly here in Gateway. Now, daytime conditions here, we're expecting some changes into our second session, but is there anything you can carry over from this race to the next, maybe to learn a little bit more about the track?
I mean, I raced here about a month ago in IES, even though it was during the day as well. So I don't think anything is really learned. I don't think it's anything new in any way. Probably a better way to put it. And I think everybody here has done a countless of races at Gateway at night. So I think it will be pretty straightforward for everybody from now. Just the first race was a bit of a challenge because nobody ever really drives at a 50-degree Celsius track temperature. But now we did, and it was fun, so we'll see.
And just a few minutes away from moving on to our next session here, Julian, have any final shout-outs you'd like to give as we move on to race number 2?
Yeah, I want to thank Rise Engineering eSports for sponsoring the race. I want to thank Footy Raceway for sponsoring the league. And everybody on the team as well did a great job. Shame about Time's result, by the way. I forgot to mention that we were racing side by side, and then I think he lost it or something when he was in the clean air. So that was unfortunate for him, but everybody worked well together, so it was good. And I want to thank you guys as well for broadcasting this, and yeah, just really looking forward to the second race now. That's where my focus is on. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm really excited for this one as well. It's a longer race. Strategy is going to be a lot more important. On paper, it should be a two-stopper, but with some yellows, that might all change. So we'll see.
And we're going to find out very soon here as we move on to race number 2, 17th to 4th. Julian, thank you for stopping by.
Of course, always. See ya.
Now we're moving on to the second race session. We're still in the first right now, so we're going to take a few minutes away and bring you back with all the racing here at the virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway. Stay tuned live on FCN. You're watching the VOR IR18 series, and we will return after these messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Once again, welcome back, race fans, to the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway as we get set for our second on-track activity today.
Racing requires everything that you've got. Climbing into NASCAR on Sunday, it feels like you're getting ready to go into battle.
When I hit that ignition switch, that car fires up. It's one of the best things in the world.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
The second race of Gateway, we're back in the Ryder Engineering 200, and tonight we've got 120 more laps still to come in Madison, Illinois. Thank you for joining us as we are now at our second venue. Same track, different conditions, and now it's a nighttime race here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. I'm David Kreutz, joined alongside Gary Godstone. If you missed our first race, Bruno Miranda wins his first win here at Gateway, 5th of the season, and his second double-header race. So, once again, strength to strength for the driver, the number 78, and practice is on the move yet again. And Joshua Tucker currently finds himself at the top of the board. Tucker was your pole sitter in the previous race. However, early troubles got him out of the car quick, and he finished in dead last. So now, as we restore our entire field to the circuit again, we're about 11 minutes out here from qualifying, and you can see right now the time at the tops of your screen. It's going to take from here on out. Miranda already shown the pace he has, but it's a race that's 3 times as longer, so it's going to be faster and it's going to be quicker lap times too. So it's a different atmosphere here in Gateway. There's something different that these drivers have to keep an account for as we move on to race number 2.
No, not really. Other than getting the pit road possibly with green flag pit stops. Getting on the pit road here is a little bit different because we're going to have to get on and off of pit road using the pit road access roads. So in order to get on the front pit road, they need to exit or enter on the backstretch going into 3. And that's a very slippery apron down there, the access road. Work their way around to the cones, then be sure to be down to the speed limit by the cones, and then make their way to their spot, and then make their stop. And then that's not it. Then they have to navigate that same type of adhesion on the pit road exit out all the way rounds 1 and 2, and then rejoin the field on the backstretch. So that's I've seen races won or lost here on pit stops, and that's the key of it, is getting on and off pit road here with maximum efficiency. But as we see right now at the top of the chart, it is Tucker, and he's about 7 miles per hour. That's what the cooler conditions do. And that might be a draft dated lap too. I'm not sure, but he's at a 189.3. He qualified, I think, at a 182 or 183 in the first race, and so everyone's gonna be faster here. Everyone, and it's the same thing we saw at Phoenix. Everyone in the first race was fast, but everybody in the second race was faster, and that's just because of the conditions. The conditions, we're looking at them right now. The conditions are track temperature. Is 69 degrees Fahrenheit. That's nothing. That's nothing for these cars. And ambient temperature is 66 Fahrenheit. Again, nothing for these cars. So these cars are going to be producing a lot of our maximum horsepower. And there's not going to be a lot of heavy air involved here, even though humidity is at 90%. The air is not very heavy, so there's not going to be a lot of additional downforce. So there's going to be a little slidey at some points. And that's another reason why they're so fast, is that the air is lighter. It's cooler. And so that's kind of what they're looking forward to. So it's going to be managing their car. Also, remember, they're faster than the first race. Remember, we also heard in the interviews in the first race that they had to do a little bit of saving on that 40-lap run. And really, if you take this 120 laps and you turn it into a 2-stopper, that's pitting every 40 laps. So can they do that? Can they repeat that fuel saving every single stint in order to hit that 40 mark 2 times in a row in order to make their 2 stops? We'll see. But I think they're going to have a lot more fun in this race versus the last one. And also those that prefer a little bit more of a marathon and a little less of a sprint, they'll do better as well.
Some drivers who I think are going to benefit from strategy here are those who kept up closer to Bruno Miranda in the early going, but as you mentioned, or as we were told earlier through the interviews, some drivers had to do a little bit of minor fuel saving. Craig Forsyth right now, he has a little bit of damage, but that's what his race came down to, some slight fuel saving and giving Bruno Miranda that lead. That's what changed the entirety of that first race. Now for Forsyth, it's a lot more time on the table here, and there's going to be most likely multiple pit stops, expecting about a 2-stop strategy when all comes close of this race. So Forsyth maybe with an opportunity to redeem himself here. Mark Murphy perhaps. Joshua Tucker quick again. Perhaps he's going to be able to replicate some success instead of getting an early incident once more. And right now, 18 drivers on the track, going back to Lee Kane and Dan Ench. So a majority of our pack is with us as practice has concluded, and it'll be Joshua Tucker at the top of the charts here.
let's see if he can back it up with another pole. But we've seen him already start on the pole. What he needs to do is actually finish this race. That's the key thing for him.
And it looks like there's going to be a new session. That is why practice ended. We're going to have to make a second transition here. So that's what's going on. It looks like we're going to be skipping through this session and we are going to be moving to another piece of the schedule. Looks like an additional disconnection for everyone here. So unfortunately, we're going to have a little bit of a break from the action one more time. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Once again, you're watching the Worldwide Technology Raceway here with Velocity Online Racing, and we will be back in about 5 or 6 minutes. Pace Car is alone right now. That's going to be the case for a little while, as we're going to be back, hopefully, with qualifying and your main events.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Once again, welcome back, race fans, to the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway as we get set for our second on-track activity today.
Racing requires everything that you've got. Climbing into NASCAR on Sunday, it feels like you're getting ready to go into battle.
When I hit that ignition switch, that car fires up. It's one of the best things in the world.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
3 minutes away from the end of practice, we've returned to our brand new session, and the nighttime sky is once again back. It's the second race of the day. We're going to get things going momentarily here. Practice is still on the move, and we're the final moments of our session. Bruno Miranda, now the fastest in our new practice over Joshua Tucker by 11 thousandths of a second. Notable join for Jesper Uhrmann. He just made it in for the first time tonight, so a slight extension on registration time is going to give us our Indianapolis winner for the first time since his controversial finish. He's going to have to take a qualifying ban in addition to the race suspension we saw last week. So Uhrmann is back among others here as we're in the final moments of practice, moving on to our qualifying session today.
Oh, we got IR18 gymnastics on the backstretch there. Yeah, I saw a car doing some cartwheels, but yeah, I think Miranda's lap might have been draft dated, 189.4 versus Tucker's 189.3. That might have been draft dated too. They're right at the track record that Cart set here. This track is not that old. Kind of came to be in the late 90s. It was really on the front lines of the IndyCar kart civil war. After the year of after the disastrous US 500 going opposite the Indy 500, the next year Cart decided to first of all make a race closer to Indianapolis and then not also try to go opposite the Indy 500. So what they did the day before is they put the race here, and they had the day before the Indy 500 kart race here for a couple seasons, and then people could make a long weekend of it because there's only 4 hours between Indianapolis and St. Louis. You could go to St. Louis, watch the kart race, and the next day or that night drive to Indianapolis, and the next day watch Indy 500 if you wanted to. Also, it opened the door for the kart teams that if they wanted to participate in Indy 500 in upcoming years, that they could have a race here and then still not be too far away from Indianapolis in order to participate there. So, and then once the kart kind of had its troubles, this became a full-time IRL race. They IRL raced here for about 3 years, and it stopped, and then very recently reappeared on the IndyCar schedule, the NTT IndyCar schedule, where it's been ever since. But kart track record set by Raul Boisel, and then he set that in '97 when the track was brand new with a 187.693. Don't hear about Raul very often, but he's probably the best IndyCar driver to never win a race. That's probably what he's best known for. The IndyCar IRL track record set by Will Power, which is no one's surprise. I mean, he's a career leader in poles in IndyCar history with a speed of 192.384, which also still stands as a track record. So we're just a little off that right now as we're getting ready to go qualifying. The career wins leaders here at Gateway are Joseph Newgarden with 4, including 3 in a row from 2020 to 2022. Scott Dixon has 2, and he's also your defending Gateway champion going into the 2024 NTT IndyCar season. And then the list of former winners here reads like a virtual who's who of IndyCar history. So this is Paul Tracy, Alex Zanardi, Michael Andretti, Juan Montoya, Al Unser Jr., Gil DeFerrin, Helio Castroneves, and of course Will Power and Takuma Sato also won here in a very interesting race. But that's kind of the IndyCar history here at Gateway, and now it's time to go qualifying, and we only got 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to play, and cars are now starting to making those laps for ultimate speed.
2 minutes and 20 seconds, good enough for, of course, a few laps here at Gateway, let alone the 2 that are required to put a full qualifying stint down. And right now, looking at Seb Kinder, among others, just about everyone on the track right now. So we're ready to see who goes and climbs to the top of the board. We're about 5 miles an hour quicker every lap, give or take, adjusting for the draft and for the new conditions. So if you thought last race was quick, we could be at an even faster pace for the rest of the night. As now, coming down the line, Seb Kinder puts the first lap in the books, and now it's going to be a 24.6, the fastest time, but it's quickly going to be up to the top for Mark Murphy with a 24.2. I think there's a chance that we cracked into the 23s in this session, but that's going to take the absolute optimal lap from any driver. I think if there's anyone who's going to do it, it's either Mark Murphy or Bruno Miranda.
Yeah, this turning a lap here, we'll watch some IndyCars during the race. Turns 1 and 2 is so fast in these cars, and while you're making that turn in turns 1 and 2, you're also changing gears in the process. But your line through 1 and 2 will determine your lap, really. If you have a bad turns 1 and 2, you might as well just abandon your lap because it's just not going to be good. Because 3 and 4 for this is about the same for everybody. You're going through 3 and 4. Maybe with a slight throttle crack, but pretty much your foot's right to the bottom. And the car feels a little light in 3 and 4, but you can make it around when you're by yourself. And they were watching Julian. He's making his lap right now. Tucker to the top. There's Tucker with that 23. 189.3. So his 189 in practice was legit. So we'll see. I'm surprised Miranda wasn't able. Maybe Miranda's was draft dated and Tucker's wasn't.
Matt Wagner is also going to cross that barrier and 28 thousandths behind. So we are in quick territory here. It looks like 188, 189 easily possible out of the draft for the best of drivers. Pedro Blebel up into 7th here. 17 drivers take a lap, and qualifying is effectively concluded. Wagner fast, but Tucker faster. And maybe some redemption here in the longer Gateway race as your former pole sitter. He's going to back up that lap and do it once again. It is Joshua Tucker on the pole in Gateway.
Yeah, Tuck's got to absolutely finish this race. This is key for him. He just had a bad last 2 races starting from the pole here at this exact same track. Slightly different car in the first race. It was the IR18, or excuse me, the DW12. Keep in mind that you are looking at DW12 cars right here. It just has the IR18 aero package on them. So he will want to do well for sure here. Maybe if I was him, I'd concentrate maybe a little bit more on getting to the finish and leading a little less laps, but we'll see. He might just say, you know what, I have a way I'm going to drive. I'm going to stick to it. And he'll see. We'll see what happens. But he's starting for the pole. You got Matty Wagner, Murphy, Liam O'Sullivan with a good run. He was kind of the mid-pack in the first race, so he's a little bit further forward. Seb Kinder the same way. Bruno Miranda, not a great run again this time. He started 10th first race, 6th this race. I expect him at the front just like you do. But qualifying here is just not his bag. He's just not as fast as everybody in the ultimate speed, but in the overall pace, I totally expect them to see up front.
Right behind Miranda, going to be Pedro Blebel with Tien Van de Velde and Gary Lovern, and it's going to be Matthias Strauss concluding the top 10. Then from there, you're going to see a few other drivers in the mix, and those are going to include Craig Forsyth, Patrick Zilvazzi, Jonas Weber, and right beside Weber in 13th, going to be Julian Altena with Dan Ench 15th, and John Christensen, position number 16. Lee Kane, last time taken, Urman with a quality ban, and Bill Colley 19th. So, we've got 19 drivers here for race number 2, and the pace car already out on track. 1 pace lap for 120 laps, and all things considered, we're looking at a rapid race ahead of us here as everyone stays clean and keeps it green. It's a little bit more of that grip onto the surface, which explains the faster laps. Maybe that speed going to cause some troubles for drivers in some closer battles.
So really, if they want to do this in 2 stops, they got to conserve fuel. If they don't want to do this in 2 stops, there's going to be a third involved here with a little bit of a splash.
maybe there is a chance to go for that 2-stop strategy if we stay green. I'm thinking with caution, it's definitely going to be a 3-stopper, all things considered here. It's going to be close, but 40, 80, 120 would be the numbers per stint, and only 2 pit stops along the way. Joshua Tucker, Matt Wagner, they're 2 drivers who are looking for redemption after last race. Tucker had trouble early. It was Matt Wagner who had that last lap incident, and he ended up getting thrown around, which gave way to a finish where a lot of drivers got destroyed at the very end. This time by, though, both of those drivers are going to find themselves up ahead, and it's going to be Tucker once again on the pole for the 2nd time in this event.
Here we go.
Green flag going to fly for our 120-lap feature. Back on the move. There goes Tucker. Green flag is out.
Everyone cleanly through 1, it looks like. Cleanly through 2. That's a good sign. That's a good start. That battle for second's pretty wicked right now.
Caution already out, and it's going to be Patrick Zovazzi in trouble, and he is destroyed on the left side.
I spoke too soon. What happened, Patrick?
And both wheels from left front and left rear are absolutely out of order. Here's a look one more time at what happened.
So he went 3 wide in the 3 with Lovern and Forsyth. And maybe it's something I would have backed out of, certainly this early. And he kind of came down a little bit on Lovern and put himself into the wall. So, ouch. Not going to be able to back up that first race. Good finish with a... well, actually, I think he got caught up in a wreck in the first race. So that's 2 wrecks in a row for him. So just bad luck.
Zovazzi was part of that final lap incident we saw with Matt Wagner. So already 2 straight laps and 2 straight incidents for him. And that's how the first race, of course, ended. That a second one starts, and he is flopping all around. And I think that's Patrick's race already. So he'll be just about done for the night as he pulls into pit road here.
Yeah, a couple guys already going to take this opportunity. Just going to do a bit of a top off the tanks. Bill Cawley, to no surprise there, doing that, and Jesper doing that. So, and Zovazzi trying to get to his stall and just kind of go sideways. Just kind of insult to injury right there. But Orman and Cawley top off their tanks. That might actually play into being able to make it 40 laps on this first stint or beyond.
So we're going to go back to green at about lap 5, end of 5, beginning of 6, which would lead us to lap 40 on about a 35 lap stint for these drivers. That is a big deal if they want to go all the way without concerns. So for a driver who was forced to start in the back of the field, such as Jesper Werman.
Nothing to lose. Yeah.
Pretty good call. Yeah, nothing to lose.
Yeah,
here,
got nothing to lose, yeah.
Chance to move up to the front pretty easily.
Yeah, and in fact, if I was Bill there, I'd even probably come in top off on this lap. Just kind of, pack in the maximum amount of fuel you can. You're not going to lose any track position. You're already at the tail end of the lead lap, tail end of the longest line. So I would have maybe even come in here this time and topped off just one more time.
Well, all things considered, it's still going to be 2 drivers topping off and 1 in for service. That's Patrick Zovazzi. Here we go again. It's going to be 1 lap to green, and Joshua Tucker, he makes it through the first caution this time. He was the cause of the first previously. Now he makes it around, and he's set to lead us to green at lap number 5. Let's get going once again here. It is going to be first restart in this night race, and the second restart at the start of these races. Overall, it's going to be caution number 4 as Tucker, Murphy, Matt Wagner are your top 3 when we go green yet again.
Yeah, for Tuck's sake, he just needs to really get through this first lap and then get into a routine here. I think the key thing for him is to get a finish tonight. Not necessarily get a win, but get a finish. Win be nice.
We'll see if he can keep going for the win here. Good start, as it was for the previous 2 races in VOR, but just has not turned out well with incident after incident. Let's hope this time around he doesn't find his 3rd. Green flag going to go out once again for the first restart of the day. Tucker on the move, and we are back racing here from Gateway.
should be pointed out, I don't know if it's been mentioned that normally we're used to seeing Pedro. Oh, here we come inside. Murph to the inside of Tuck. We're cautioned again. Lee Kane, Dan Inch.
Caution out for the second time, and early troubles here. Let's take a look back and figure out what caused it. And we have to go back to all the way when the restart happened. That's how quick this caution came out.
Ouch. All right. Lee Kane just, I'm not sure what happened, just kind of piled in the back of Dan and caused a wreck there in turn 1. I don't know if he wasn't expecting Dan to check up, or maybe had a equipment failure on the on his computer or something, but it's just kind of piled into the back of Dan.
And we'll take a look on board with Lee Kane on this start and see what happened here, if he let off at all, or if he just went going into him.
I don't know if he expected Dan to back that corner up as much as he did. Let's ride with Dan. I'll ride with Dan here and see what. Didn't get the greatest start Dan did, but still it wasn't the worst. And he turns into 1 and race control, take a look at that. I don't know. I think Dan might have taken corner 1 a little bit easier, just because the last couple races, corner 1 on starts and restarts and fresh tires have been kind of treacherous, a little loose. And that's maybe what was happening there.
It looks like that's the case. We were looking at the onboard, and he was at 4th gear relative to 5th for Lee Kane, so doing it a little bit differently, and ironically, that causes even more trouble than it could have avoided. So the yellow flag is out yet again here as a result, and we are pacing. Joshua Tucker set to lead the way as we return to the action. It's the 77 still out in front, and the green flag will fly once more. Let's get at it. This time by, it's going to be Tucker with Mark Murphy as we are set to go green.
And it should be pointed out that Christensen, Jesper, and Colley again hit pit road to top off.
Tucker gets the jump. He's going to make it through in that first restart. And now John Christensen, yes, Worman, Bill Colley are the drivers on the alternate strategy, deciding to get a little bit more of that extra fuel for the race as it goes on. Matthias Strauss now going to be side by side with Craig Forsyth. And another battle begins here as we can see drivers starting to get in the rhythm, hoping to go green for a little longer than what we saw so far.
And Murph to the top here. He's in the inside of Josh. So Tuck, you'll see Tuck, well, he didn't stay with it. He just let him go by. You can defend a lot on the high side, but I guess with fresh tires, it makes it difficult to do. He chooses to stay in the draft and then go to the inside here in 3 and 4. Watch the high side there, come into this thing. See how the high side is a great equalizer. Oof. A little close there.
Battle side by side. Tucker and Murphy, one of which also Bruno Miranda going to be with Liam O'Sullivan further back in the frame. And now we're really getting in a rhythm here to start going green flag again.
Should point out that I was getting ready to say before the last caution, we watch him still just racing wheel to wheel. It's great racing. Pedro normally is in that Altena Autosports livery, but he is in a livery very similar now to Bruno, so I believe they're now teammates.
And for Pedro, looks like maybe a different look for that number 88 on our side, though. It still looks to be the VOR paint scheme. You look up to Seb Kinder, and Kinder's got a little more familiar design. However, on our side, he's got the old traditional one for the 88. Bruno Miranda goes down to the bottom side once again. He's looking low, keeps it there, not only now on Liam O'Sullivan, but also there goes Matt Wagner. Wagner in third. Maybe a chance that he's going to lose that spot here because Miranda's got to run.
Yeah, Bruno stayed right with him in the corner. Errol Wash be damned there, and he just turned underneath him and took the pass in the front straight. Now he's going to look at Tucker.
And here comes Bruno Miranda, 13
At low
laps
side.
in.
Wow.
Didn't have the best of qualifying runs in the previous race. He still won it. Didn't have the best run this time around. He is there and looking to take the lead.
Julian looking to crack the bottom portion of the top 10. He's up to fighting Jonas there for 11th. Forsyth and Van Velde. That whole battle right there for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. 9th is in there.
Massive collection of drivers here. Julian getting really close on exit there to Matthias Strauss, but they'll keep it together once again. 15 laps in, Jesper Urban now up into 12th and looking down to the bottom side. So maybe Jesper now trying to get up in front all the same. And Craig Forsyth is in the middle of a sandwich. He's packed up tight with Seb Kinder and Vandervelde. Wow, Craig. I'm quite surprised these drivers have kept it straight so far. It's the closest bundle we've seen all throughout the night.
Yeah, unshaken at all. Craig, man, has not bothered him one bit. I start getting in packs of cars like that. I'm worrying about net code. I'm worried about someone making a bonehead move around me. Everyone being very considerate of each other.
And it's good to see, of course, being considered in a situation like this. You can't afford to make those risky moves so early into this race. I mean, at this point, we're 17 laps in. We've gotten past the 10% marker. We haven't really gotten anywhere else. You just cannot risk the race, given the fact first pit cycle is not even done, and we've lost 2 drivers, Zovazzi and Lee Kane. So we're down to 16 on the lead lap with Dan Ench in lap or 2. Right now, drivers just have to settle in. Bruno Miranda makes up into second. And while Bruno sees everyone else settling in, he's deciding to go for the lead with the pace he's got. He's now 1 position away, and it's now Jonas Weber right in the mix with Jesper Urban and Tien Vandervelde. That is the fight for 9th.
As the old saying goes, to finish first, you must finish. And that's, you're not going to win a 120-mile lap race on lap 20. But you're certainly going to lose it on lap 20.
With the way these drivers are going at it now, it looks like they've, for the large part, learned their lesson with the earlier wrecks and such, and you don't want to see that replicated as the race goes on. Usually, we see a little bit of a onslaught of cautions early in the going, and then we have the peaceful period in the second half, so maybe drivers getting to that point a little earlier. Seb Kinder seeing a little bit of wiggle there. That's Jonas Weber right there with them, and it's going to be side-by-side down to the stripe once more. Seb Kinder lies on the bottom. Jonas Weber right up top. Even higher, Tien Vandervelde to 76. Almost goes for a wild ride and almost up in the wall, but luckily stays straight.
Craig getting the position there on Pedro. Move Craig up in the top 5. Jesper around Matty Wagner. Matty's falling back some. I don't know if he's doing some fuel conserve or what. He might be sporting some damage that we don't know about either. So keep our eye on Matty Wagner. Weber and Kinder side by side.
And right now, it's going to be Jonas Weber up to the top side in that 75 machine. And you see Seb Kinder lying right back. Matt Wagner also now catching a piece, and it's going to be a silver storm of drivers here. Wagner's in the mix with.
Yeah. He must have some damage or something. He's getting freight train. Either that, he is really, really on fuel conserve. But the thing is, if he's on fuel conserve, he's really letting this traffic in front of him get away. I think I would maybe try to race a little bit harder, but I've seen him, I've seen him lose more fuel conservation races than win, but they were as a result of a late race caution where his strategy was thrown out the window. Not going to try to give him the old commentary chinks here, but he does know how to save fuel, so that's possibly what he's doing. I don't know that for a fact. He could be damaged. We don't know that either.
Julian right now going to be in that number 11, working at 12th, perhaps getting by Seb Kinder, going to be the first step to a few more positions. One driver who really got away from this battle was Jesper Oorman, and right now Jesper might be the quickest driver on the track. That's how high he was, so it looks like now Oorman might be able to catch up to the likes of Miranda, Tucker, O'Sullivan, and Craig Forsyth.
Yeah.
And at this rate, number 78 machine rolling quick. But maybe he's going to have a rival in our Indy winner who got it done in his last oval start.
Yeah, the only car that's faster than him in this group from the top 8 up is actually Weber, who just passed him. Orman has been, his pace over the last 5 laps has been a 24.2, 296. Weber compared to Weber's 24.287. So those two cars have been the fastest in the lead 8. But everyone else ahead of them have been 0.2 slower. So they're running them down.
Perhaps a chance for both drivers, with Weber and Oorman, to make it up there with the leaders. Craig Forsyth and Pedro Blabel going to face a little more pressure as Pedro gets up to Craig Forsyth here. It's the fight for 5th. Forsyth has it. Pedro wants it, and we'll see what he can do to take it here as 28 laps in. The high side going to be held by Craig using that middle top groove. It's a multi-groove track, and if you see even up to the leaders here, Bruno Miranda decides to go a little bit higher there than Mark Murphy, and that might be the key to his success getting the race lead.
Bruno might be doing a little fuel conservation as well. We didn't see much of him do much fuel conservation in that first race other than getting some timely cautions. He's right there in that draft. So what the fuel mileage right now is the worst fuel mileage is probably Murph. He's punching the hole in the air. Everyone else is just kind of following through it.
Just a few laps away from what's going to be the first caution, or rather pit cycle, which is going to bring everyone slow regardless of caution. Murphy, Miranda, Tucker, and company right now going to have to pit very soon. Jesper Oorman might have the overall advantage, though, because he's on a 24-lap stint now, so he'll have a little bit more time. Maybe he'll go down to pit road at the lap 50 marker, maybe, relative to everyone else, and he'll be able to get the lead and perhaps stretch it by the time everyone's down and in. A 40-lap, that's our estimate for the first pit cycle. So maybe a 2-stop strategy from here on out, most likely, especially for the drivers who have gone into pit road at least once so far.
Yeah, those that on a kind of that separate strategy, they all pitted on lap 7 last was Jesper Christensen and Bill Colley.
32 laps through, Murphy still up in front. Now we're going to see a battle between Jonas Weber, Pedro Blabel, and Jesper Oorman. So now Pedro losing the spot, and Craig Forsyth due up next. And our fastest 2 drivers in the lead 8 are still making time. Forsyth going to be sent up to the top of the track. Weber trying to make it by, and now Liam O'Sullivan might be up next. But first, Forsyth is still defending. That was a close call.
Bit of a close call. Pedro might have lost the left front wing plane right at the pit entry road. I think he got forced over a little bit by possibly 10, he clipped the wall, the outside wall on that pit access road right there off of turn 2. So right there, he got forced kind of onto that roadway a little bit, and he clipped the wall.
Pit road's going to be inevitable now for the 88 as he's fallen back a total of 10-plus spots already. And he is slow, deadly slow. I think he's just going to try to wait for pit road at this rate because the cycle eventually going to come soon.
Yeah, but that's pretty terminal, and he's going to be hemorrhaging time. He's going to have a really hard time getting down through turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4, maybe not so much, but 1 and 2 are going to be really painfully slow for him. But yeah, he's doing exactly what you're thinking right there. I think he's going to try to make it to the pit window. Certainly, try to get at the 40 without going down a lap. That's the key thing.
We'll see how that works out because already back into 16th. Leaders are coming across the line again. Craig Forsyth still defending upon Jesper Oorman. But Jesper, tenths of a second away and still slightly gaining. Maybe an opportunity to get there before drivers come down to pit road. Still, nobody has gone down and in. So Drivers may be waiting a little bit longer. The caution's definitely helping to conserve some fuel. So things going here in the Ryder Engineering 200. It looks like more and more drivers being a little more patient during the yellows, getting the fuel saving. That's going to change the rest of the race. And Pedro, he's down and into pit road this time by, so he will make his stop. The rest of the field is up next.
Yeah, he could not wait any longer.
And that is a definite. All the while, the rest of the field is going to try to wait until at least lap number 40. And Mark Murphy brings him across the line yet again. O'Sullivan with Forsythe still the closest battle, going to be there for just about 6th. And Forsythe sees Jesper get a very good run off the corner, but still looks like everyone's separate just enough where nobody's really making a pass right now. And Mark Murphy actually stretching his lead out by just 10ths. Each and every lap, very minor gains, but it's enough to stay in the lead, and that's the big deal right now for the 69 crew.
You see the top 9 right there in the same picture. Top 10, actually, right there, all in the same picture. So throw a blanket over them, not much separating them.
You look there, down low with Julian Altina. Final driver really in the picture, however, not with the leading pack. And now they're even tighter once again. It's this 4-car bundle from O'Sullivan down to Tien van der Velde. And it looks like now Greg Forsythe nearly up into the wall. There was Jesper Orman down to the low side. And maybe now Jesper with a chance to pass. Going to once again slot back in, but he got there side by side. So who's to say he can't once more?
All right, so the 2-stop window is open. We're at lap 40. 41 now, 42. So we are officially in the 2-stop window. So anybody can make a stop here. The next key lap is going to be right about 80, 81. And that should get them home.
Still, nobody's decided to come in, and now Bruno Miranda right up there on Mark Murphy. The gap less than a 1/10 of a second. That's the closest it's been in about 15 laps here. And Bruno got real tight, and he's going to decide to run the high side to get a little bit more momentum to pull himself back in. Murphy's in.
Yep. So that's where they got the entrance on the backstretch. So he's got to navigate this road very, very slippery through here. He has another car in with him as well. And then you got to get down to the cones. You got to get down to the, I think it's 45 miles per hour here. So he's got the 75. So Weber was with him as well. And then this long pit road to his. And so he's going to be one of the first, since he was one of the fastest qualifiers, he's going to be one of the first stalls. He's got that really long roll. So he gets to his spot.
And now coming in a lap after, Bruno Miranda looks to be on his way through the pit road. So more than 40 laps for a majority of these drivers, and it looks like we should be safely within one pit stop to go territory here for the rest of the day. 45 in for Miranda, 44 for former leader Mark Murphy. And now you're going to see even more come through. Looks like Forsythe, Tucker, O'Sullivan, and Altina. That leaves Jesper Orman as the lone driver up in front.
Yeah, and that extra bit of fuel that he picked up on lap 7 is could play into his hand. So a number of things can happen right now that can work into his favor. The key of which is people safely getting on the pit road without causing a yellow and safely getting off the pit road without causing a yellow. That is a real danger here, both times. It's equally as slippery coming on the pit road as it is coming off the pit road. Certainly when it's coming off the pit road with new tires and you're wanting to get up to a speed as fast as you can, people tend to overdrive that pit out. So if that does happen, we could cause a caution. He could catch most of the competition to lap down right now. So and you see Christensen stopped on lap 7 as well. He's now up to P2. Colley stopped on lap 7. He's up to P5.
Greg Forsythe with a good pit stop. Now he finds himself just about 0.3 of a second away from Bruno Miranda and ahead of Mark Murphy. So that's a gain. That's a huge gain, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
And with the minor tire advantage, it's going to help out even more as Jesper's down and in.
Lovern and Wagner are on pit road, I believe. Yep. Colley on pit road. And you said Orman's on pit road. Christensen on pit road. So they went a couple laps longer than everyone else, like we thought they would. So this will turn it over to Miranda. So Miranda maximized his pit stop and was able to jump Murphy, and same thing with Forsyth. He jumped Murphy, and he should pick up the lead. We'll see. Orman's coming off pit road. He's past the caution. He's past the cones. He's now off the limiter. He might pop out in front of him. He might do this. It's gonna be close. Coming up to speed.
Jesper's got it. It looks like he does take the race lead as such. But it's going to be a quick move down to the bottom for the 78 of Miranda, and that speed with the warmer tires, that's the advantage at the line. Bruno takes the lead right back, but Jesper was quick on that first stint, so we'll see what he can do with still a slight tire advantage.
Now, that's a win for Jesper. That is a big win, even though he did not come out as the leader. The fact where he had to, he was buried in the standings and did that extra strategy to help move him up the front, had a very fast pit stop. He was on pit road 34.1 seconds, but in the box 8.6. But the way that he got on pit road and got off of pit road is kind of where it maximized for him. Very aggressively getting to those cones.
Some great work for the number 2 teams. And now we got a 3-driver battle, maybe 4. Mark Murphy still might just be in it, but I think for
Murph's there. Yeah, Murph's there. Yeah.
Going to be all about these 2 drivers who got the leapfrog going and made up some spots. They definitely going to be the drivers who are wowing the field right now, especially for Jesper Orman. He made up about 5 or 6 spots at once and now finds himself in second. A few lappers going to get in the mix. Bill Colley coming right up as the drivers are going to fly across the start-finish line. So Bill is set to go. It's going to be 1 lap down for that entire number 31 crew. Success last night in the DW12 series, but tonight a little bit more of the struggle bus. However, it's going to be a quick field coming right by that number 31, and it's going to be Miranda, then Orman hitting their first lap traffic under green.
Oh, Bill just doesn't give up, man. That's just perseverance right there. And he's going to stay high and kind of let the leaders go underneath him. Very good etiquette. Not going to get in the way. Although they will use Bill as a bit of a draft tool. Oh.
And look at how close they are. Orman is not going to give him any space. And now it's going to be Jesper up in a second still, but he tried to gain some time and ended up wiggling back and forth as the leaders fly by that number 31.
I got a little tight there. I don't think that was anything that Bill did wrong. And Jesper kind of, I think, might have drove in there and had the aero wash kind of washed up on him a little bit. But both of them skilled enough that they were able to keep it off each other. Now, the loser in this battle right now is kind of Mark Murphy. He's got separated. But Bill's really not holding them up. I mean, Bill's last lap was 24.3, and Murph's last lap was a 24.5, so he was faster than Murph's. So Murph will get there. Murph will get around him right here.
Coming across the stripe, going to go right down to the bottom there on Bill Colley, and it's a move low. That's going to be quick and easy. Just like that, as you mentioned, Mark Murphy up into 4th with no lapper ahead of him, and now you see Jesper Orman starting to make that distance back up to Bruno Miranda, and we might see the battle for the lead really coming on its own now. Watching on board, got Bruno Miranda we're looking at right now, Gary. So what's it like up in front?
All right, so let's take a lap here of Gateway. It's a 1.25 mile oval. Crossing the start-finish line. It's going to start high in turn 1. Drop a gear. Drop 2 gears. He's going to stay in that high lane all the way around to maximize the momentum. He's going to climb back up those 2 gears of 5th gear. Hitting 6, you don't need to hit 6 unless you're going to pass, but he might need to try to do some fuel conservation. 6 all the way through here. Sometimes people drop 5th. And then back down the cross start finish line, back into 1 again. A high entry, staying a high line, going down the 4th gear. So every lap in these guys, like I've done a race here in the Craftsman trucks. And you have the option of shifting the gears in 1 and 2 if you want to, or not. Here in IndyCars, and I'm not quite sure what it is like on the other like Xfinity or the next gen car, but here in IndyCars, you're changing multiple gears every time a lap here, so you are very busy in the car. That's on top of managing your tools, your roll bar, your front roll bar, your back roll bar, your weight jacker, and there goes Craig Forsyth to the front. Got another car. There comes Murph. So not sure. Maybe Bruno was backing off to try to save some fuel. Like I said, he was hitting 6th when he didn't need to.
Craig Forsyth up in front, and I'll tell you this much, also a few other drivers were saving, as it looks like one driver going to lose a little bit of their car. Jesper Orman down to 3rd, so I got to wonder, is he looking for the long term?
Murph's very high in 3 and 4, but gets a great launch down the front stretch. Tucker now on the backside of Murph, going to take a look to the inside. I don't think he's going to get the position, but he's going to have clean air. Murph's going to hold on to the position with the momentum on the high side.
Now Joshua Tucker's back there. Tucker going down to the inside. He's having a much better race so far than his previous effort. And right now that number 63, Liam O'Sullivan, watching on as Murphy fights with Tucker. That's the battle for 4th. And it looks like now Joshua in a good place to maybe take that spot away and get right behind the podium sitters here. 64 laps in. We're past the halfway marker and we have 57 laps left. So we're in upcoming sprint territory here for the rest of the race.
Yeah, we're believe it or not, we just completed pit stops. We're only 15 laps or so away from the next round of pit stops.
Goes to show how fast these laps are when everything's
almost up in the wall.
And you can see now the leaders are going to get even closer. You see not only now this first 5 group, but still keeping up. The drivers further on back from 6th to about 10th. Jonas Weber there with Liam O'Sullivan, and not to mention Seb Kinder and his company. And you can see Julian with Tien van der Velde. It's a very, very close campaign of drivers here who are keeping it very tight from top to bottom. And if you're in the lead lap, there's a very good chance you're still fighting for the win, all things considered. And Craig Forsyth is the man who leads the train up in front. Now it's going to be Joshua Tucker up there.
Again, there might be fuel saving going on here, so this might be one of those Murph almost up in the Jesper, but this might be one of those runs where you lead. No, you lead. No, by all means, you please lead. You know, that might be one of those races right now in this stint here where they're still trying to hit a number, and they're really not wanting to lead. But Josh Tucker, and I don't blame him. I'll be like, man, I want some TV time. Put me up front. I want to see my name on the screen. Oh, Weber coming off of 2. Big reaction.
Still here in 5th, despite a little bit of a wiggle, but Jonas Weber now trying to get himself the lead battle, and it's going to be tricky. Mark Murphy going to be the man defending. Jonas Weber is right there, but Jesper Orman, I don't know if he's trying to hit a number still. He has still a big tire advantage. I don't know if he's got to worry at all, or if he's just playing the game right now to save up his material for the later portion of the run. That might be what's going on, because with 52 laps to go, he's on a 20-lap stint, younger than anyone else in the field, and I think he's got less to worry about than anyone else. And that's just going to be the way it goes, given how his tire strategy's worked out. And when we get that final pit stop, we'll really know what's in store. Come the final 40-odd laps, we're 70 laps through, 80-85, that's when we'll see who really has what it takes.
Yeah, that topping off the tank there at lap 7 is looking smarter and smarter and smarter. And another reason why I say that is I would have done the exact same thing. I would have done the exact same thing. So thanks for making me look smart there, Jesper. But 2 AIR cars got the 4D car and a sandwich right now.
Craig Forsyth can't quite seem to get out of it right now. With 50 laps remaining and counting down, Forsyth has remained in 2nd here, and even though he has been passed for the lead, he hasn't really fallen all too far back. The 40 Raceway, number 99, still there in the runner-up spot, and I think Maybe there's an opportunity for him to go for one more spot here if, of course, push comes to shove the right way. He could become a little more aggressive, but if everyone else is trying to hit a number, you're not going to see Forsyth budge because he's on a 27-lap run, which is one of the longer in this stint. Only one who seems to have a longer run would be right behind Jesper Ullmann and like Mark Murphy or Jonas Weber. But 27, still quite a few more laps than other race-winning contender Jesper Ullmann. You've got to save if you're in the position to compete against perhaps the best strategy call of the entire night.
Well, remember, Murph was the leader for most of that first stint, so he was punching the hole in the air for everyone to follow. So he and Weber, who are right next to each other now, are going to probably go a little bit longer. They're now 30 into this thing. So we'll see if they can get up to the 40 neighborhood and beyond.
Best case scenario for the race is if they do just that, so can't really afford not to make it long unless they end up dropping out of the race for the win here. Longer stint to counteract that early aggressive run might be the best way to go about it. With 46 laps to go, we are approaching our final pit stop cycle of the night.
Julian making a move on Seb. Seb on the high side, going to protect that position. Also helps that Seb has the draft of Bruno. Bruno's fallen back to 7th. Again, makes me think, again, hitting a number.
And it looks like Mark Murphy going to do a little bit of a drop back as he finds himself in 4th right there with Jonas Weber. And I don't quite know what the game plan is right now for Murphy on a 33-lap stint. He's going to have to give up maybe a few more and try to run longer, slower lap times for now, and come back late because Murphy might be in jeopardy more so than just about any other driver. Weber looks to be a little bit more in control as he's going to drop back, but now Murphy, he's going to pick up that pace and go right at Ullmann and company up ahead.
Well, remember what they said in the sprint race, the very first race we had, the first race of the doubleheader. 40 with no caution required about a lap or so to conserve for fuel. Maybe a lap and a half, they said. So these guys got to get to now 80, 81, certainly 82. If they make it to 82, I would suspect they could probably make it to the end. So the window's getting ready to open as Murph flashes there. So he's having a little connection issues. Hopefully it's not terminal. The window for a lot of these guys unofficially opens coming to the line now. But for everybody to probably, for safety, to get home with a little bit of left in the tank, probably in the next 2 laps. Pedro on pit road, Bill on pit road. Well, no, not Bill Colley. Bill Colley's still going. Pedro on pit road. So remember, he had the pit real early because he lost a wing, so he's got on a slightly different schedule. He needs a little luck to help him out this time. All right, this is when we expect to see, at the end of this lap here, guys diving to that third turn pit road entry.
We'll find out who's the first taker here. You mentioned Pedro, but nobody else looks to be going in. Looking from Julian on up. Like it's going to be this time by everyone staying for a little bit longer, except for Tin Van de Velde. It looks like the 76 is the first taker, dropping deep.
He's definitely to the point where I think he should be able to make it from here. Problem is he's going to be a longer fill than everyone else. So Forsyth, Jesper, Murph, Weber, Sullivan, Miranda, Kinder, Julian, bypass. I think Wagner's still going. Tin's coming out of the pit road. No, he's still on pit road. Maybe he got a speeding penalty. No, it just took him forever to get to his stall. Anyways, yeah. 8.7 in the box, so that's a normal stop for him.
And just about as quick as Joshua Tucker's last pit stop, so not a bad stop in the slightest here. And now we're going to ride on board with Tucker at the line, 6th gear full on, so maybe saving a little bit more fuel, coming down to 5th, not dropping down to 4th through 1 and 2.
Oh, not doing the 4th, no.
Those very small things that add up here as Matthias Strauss is the next man in. Leaders are still out there up in front.
So
That's Gary Lovern up in front of Tuck here. Tuck's going to want to... he's right in the draft window, so he actually is getting some benefits of Gary punching a hole in the air. Now, the benefit is he's going to get slightly better fuel mileage. The bad side is you're near a wash. So he might push a little bit.
And now dropping in, Mark Murphy going to go with Liam O'Sullivan immediately after Kinder and Miranda. That leaves us now with 6 leaders left on track.
Miranda down and away. Kinder down and away. Final stops. Okay, we got Tucker and Forsyth on the pit road, and Forsyth really had to kind of check up and otherwise he would have collected Tucker on the pit access road. I think we got Weber back there as well. Julian Christensen on pit road. Oh,
so
no, that's Collie, sorry.
Going to find himself up in front in second, but yes, Julian does drop in, so now it's only going to be Jesper Orman up in front. Jesper is safe to go all the way by a long shot here, and he's going to have the shortest fill-up, so it's a huge advantage here coming with 33 to go.
Yeah, so that's going to be massive where he puts in a lot less fuel than everyone else. And that is Strauss in front of him. Strauss is not going to help him out.
Gets by somewhat easily, though.
Yeah, probably. Well, Strauss should have better pace than him on newer tires and everything, but he probably heard from a team radio, don't let him really get any extra mileage off you, and just kind of lifts and let him by. So Julian coming off of pit road. Here comes Forsyth. Forsyth's going to get the position. Julian's going to make a couple positions up, but he's not going to be near the lead.
Overall, still a solid run out of pit road there for Julian. Finished fourth in the last race, and now up there.
Look at that. Sorry about that. Jesper on pit road, an extremely aggressive pit road entry approach. Getting to those cones.
And now we've just got to watch the number. What's it going to come down to here if we're looking at time? Is Jesper Orman going to have a substantially quicker time in, or is it going to be a little bit different up next?
Going to go up on the jacks. Takes about 5 seconds to change tires on these IndyCars. It's just a single impact lug. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Down on the way. 8.1 in the box. That's the same time as Craig. That's faster than Tucker. A little bit slower than Miranda. Much faster than Murphy. So here he comes. Now you see there's Forsyth coming off of 4. Orman now exiting 2. Forsyth exiting 2 right now. What? With Joshua Tucker almost losing a front wing. But Jesper comes out in front.
Substantially far in front. Wow.
Yeah. And that's 2.6 seconds that he was able to, he was on pit road 33.6 seconds. Tucker was on pit road 34.3. So there's the big difference there. Remember they say the second, every second in IndyCar is a football field a second roughly. There you go. He's a football field and 3/4 lead. And he's trying to break the draft. The draft envelope is there.
Nonetheless, it's a second and a half for a driver who started at the back of the field, qualifying band for Jesper Orman, and he's been able to go under green and find himself up in front. 28 to go. This race has turned out to be all strategy, and Jesper Orman looking great to perhaps pull it to the end here, as you'll see. Going to be Tucker, Forsyth, Murphy all fighting each other now with just over 25 laps left.
Now we've kind of seen a story of 2 different races. We've seen who's good in the sprint. That's obviously Bruno. And who's good in a little bit more of a marathon. That's Jesper.
Evidently, Jesper Urban figuring out how to be the best on this marathon-style event, although maybe he actually got through just because of starting in the back of the field. He had to think differently, and maybe he wouldn't have had that same mindset if he started in like 6th or 7th, relative to starting all the way in the back. He had nothing to lose, and he's gained everything so far tonight, so I think in one way or another, starting in the back might have been the biggest advantage he had because had to think outside the box, and now he's here up in front. Of course, it's now a 7/10 of a second lead, so it's not all said and done.
Yeah, Tuck shut him down.
He pulled the lead. Now it's just going to be a question of whether or not he can defend it.
And last time by, Jesper 183.1 miles per hour. Tucker 184.6. He's even closer now. Next time down the front stretch, he'll be there.
So it's on once again for the race lead, and it looked like, yes, Urban got a very safe advantage out, but it looks like slowly but surely that lead is dissipating. Coming through this time by, 24 laps to go to become only 23, and you can see Urban there. He's now going to see one driver to his inside. That's Joshua Tucker, and looking for racing redemption, Joshua takes the race lead.
Two teammates up front. Here comes Forsythe to the inside. Murph going to make it 3 wide of the line. This is going to be tight in 1 and 2.
Well, Murphy's going to back off, and Urban, he's going to have to as well.
Oh, there might have been a little contact with the entry or the exit there in 2. Bruno's just going to make it work on the top side. I just said a minute ago that now we know that Jesper's a little bit better of a marathon. Not sure why he's giving up so much speed at the moment. Well, maybe he might have damage. I don't know.
It might be a question of having a little bit more in the tank and waiting again, but you're right. That's a lot of time to give up so quickly. So Tucker and Forsythe are now in a very safe spot coming to 20 to go.
Shouldn't have any more in the tank than everyone else. Everyone should roughly around him have about the same amount in the tank. And again, the amount in the tank is the amount to get to the checkered flag. That's it. So you don't need to fill it up on that last spot. So stop. And so I imagine everyone else is at a similar level in their car, give or take. So I'm not sure why he's hemorrhaging that, but even 183.1 last time by. He might be damaged. This time by, Jesper 184 flat, so a little bit faster, but he's in the draft of the car in front of him.
So maybe some problems we can't see because he has everything when it comes to cosmetics. There could be something inside of there.
It's also possible that on his stop that he might have short-filled the short fill, if you know what I mean, and maybe put in a little bit less to try to get out in front, and then obviously hope for a caution late or try to save while you're up front. It's possible that he might have put in a half a liter less or something. Quarter of a liter less. Just anything to get off pit road faster than anybody else.
That's the case. It's unfortunate given how well he ran strategy all night long for that to cost him in the final moments of the night. We're coming up on a lap machine. That's going to be Pedro Blabel here with 17 to go. Coming to 16 remaining. Joshua Tucker. Going to see the 88 burn it down up on top. You can see the smarts flying by. Now it's going to be Tucker ahead, Forsythe and Murphy there. And Mark Murphy may be looking down to the inside here as Julian's back and forth for the second race running.
Yeah, Julian up 9 spots. Craig up 9 spots. Jesper even falling back to 6th. He's up 12 spots.
At the line again, going to be 15 laps to go, and Mark Murphy getting pressured here by Julian Altena in that number 11. They're going to be working by with 15 laps to go, and Julian's still going to be oh so close to making something happen here, but just hasn't quite gotten that room or the run off the corner. Liam O'Sullivan, in addition, right now finds himself in 7th, right there with Jesper Urban, so it might be a spot to take here in the dying laps, but we'll keep an eye on this battle as we keep an eye on Forsythe and Murphy, because Mark is now down to the bottom side from 2nd place and getting even closer.
What Julian's liking here is what he sees in the rearview mirror, because this is what he needs. He needs to finish ahead of Bruno in order to try to catch him in the point standings. Now, he'll catch him a little bit if he just finishes one spot ahead, but he'll want to try to get a couple more spots. Kind of pad that point advantage that he might have of finishing ahead of Bruno.
And now coming down with 13 laps to go. You can see there Mark Murphy looking to the bottom side again. This will be for second if he gets it done.
I don't think the low side's working, especially with tires at this point. So there you see, yeah, high side definitely. Oh, Julian tried to follow him through. Almost got pinched into the wall.
Don't think that's going to work now for Julian. Still a little bit of time to go, but that's a risky move that nearly went entirely wrong.
Yeah, with the tires this worn, and they're not exactly super worn tires, but they're not nearly as good as they used to. That high side on 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 is the preferred line now. It just helps you keep your momentum. You bog the car down too much on the low side in 1 and 2 to really make the pass. Might even have to go as low as third gear to keep the revs high enough to get a good run out of 2.
10 laps remaining. Julian, Murphy, and Forsyth are still fighting. And honestly, Joshua Tucker's not gotten far away. He's about a quarter of a second away out. It looks like he's been able to hold his lead well, but that could change here because Forsyth has kept that number 77 very honest. Forsyth, who's looking for another podium run here, he might be able to go a few spots higher and take it up to the top. It's still not a guarantee as we come down to the single digits, and Tucker still is defending here, Gary. With so little time left, do you think that Forsyth can do anything here?
Yeah, I think there's enough time for Craig to do something, and watched Mark put a little bit of a block or a little bit of a fade on Julian. I'm sure that didn't make Julian very happy, but the rule for blocking in IndyCar is you're allowed one move. And then if you make any more moves based upon who you're defending against, you make reaction moves to their move, that's blocking. So that was a legal move. Julian might not have liked it, but it was legal. Trying to take multiple peaks. He's going to say, oh, I'm going to try to go to sneaky on the high side.
And there goes Julian looking down at the low there on Mark Murphy. Murphy with no choice to move up a lane and a half there and give Julian just enough room to go sliding by. It's going to be 6 laps to go this time by. Neck and neck at the stripe. This is for third, and Julian now looking low, deep enough to try to force an error, and it looks like coming up. Not clear. They'll stay side by side. The advantage maybe again with Mark Murphy as Bruno Miranda also looking for third.
And Julian wasn't clear, but he was Brazilian clear, and he kind of moved up a little bit on Bruno, was trying to sneak in there. Now Julian's got to regroup now. Don't have a lot of time left. Try to find another way around it, but get a good run on the high side, almost in the wall.
5 laps to go. The battle for third, perhaps the closest on the entire track as we speak, and the leaders keeping each other honest as one man in trouble. Gary Lovern is slow, and he's coming up on Bill Colley right now. However, it looks like he does stay straight on the circuit. Just to check up on a driver further on back as your leaders come across. Craig Forsyth, he's lost a 10th since our last position checkup, so maybe now he's going to have to pull out all the final stops he has. It's not going to be easy, but with still just about 4 miles left, I think there's an opportunity as we come across the line. 3 laps to go, and Julian still behind Mark Murphy.
And in terms of weight, Murph's going to be the lightest car at this point. He pitted on lap 86. Everyone else is 87 or higher around him. So he should have the lightest car. But again, everyone's going to have roughly the same amount of fuel. Second, third, and fourth right there under a blanket. Julian taking a peek to the inside. Nothing going. Tucker's got the purple lap. He said a little while ago to 23.9. Here, looking at the inside again. Julian coming to the white flag. Tucker This is the type of retribution that he was looking for. Julian now up to third, clears Murph. That's good news for Julian because he'll want to have that extra buffer there against Bruno in the points. Tucker off 2, just needs to get through 3 and 4. I don't think Craig's going to be able to get to him in 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is very fast. Take that pretty much wide open. And started for the pole, wins. And
at the line, Tucker gets it done. Racing redemption.
Retribution, yeah.
Just because of that first incident, of course, involved with the first caution of the day, he'll get the final win and complete the 120-lap marathon in Gateway.
Congrats to him. He needed that very badly after his last 2 starts here. Very badly he needed that.
How about the number 77? Waiting oh so long for a chance to pull through and getting it back done again here in Gateway. Checkered flag flies and Joshua Tucker pulls it together in the Ryder Engineering Gateway 200.
Josh Tucker, your winner, led 53 laps. Forsyth, P2, led 5. Julian, one of the big gainers, didn't lead any laps, but comes on the bottom step of the podium. Has 10 spots he gained. Murph, he got Murph there right at the end. Murph probably not a little happy about that. Murph led 33, finishes 4th. Bruno led 13 here. Not bad for the doubleheader. A win and a 5th, so 2 top 5s. That's going to help in the points championship. But going to lose a little ground, at least in this race, when it comes to Julian and the points champ. Bruno leads 13. 6th is Sullivan. He probably expected a little bit more of himself here. Kinder, 7th. Jonas Weber up 6 spots. He finished at 8th. Jesper Orman, not sure what happened to him. He must have had some damage or something. Led 16 laps, made 4 stops, but those extra stops ultimately is what got him up into the lead mix, and must have had some damage or something and caused him to fall back to 9th. But he improved 9 spots. And Matty Wagner did not have a good race either. He was finished 10th though, and he was down 8 spots. So he'll be looking to make a stronger start at the next race we head to.
And then from 11, you see Matthias Strauss there, the final driver on the lead lap when all was said and done. Then from there, you're also going to have Pedro Blabel, Tien van de Velde, John Christensen, Gary Lovern, and Bill Colley. And it's going to be wrapped up with Lee Kane 17th, Dan Ench then at 18th, Patrick Zovazzi 19th and last when all is said and done as the checkered flag will fly here in Gateway. Top 3 drivers coming at you right now, and we talked to Julian after that 4th place performance. It's going to be the number 11, 3rd on the day here, and we'll see if Julian's waiting for us right now in any of the voice chats. Don't quite see the number 11 just yet. We'll get Julian in momentarily, and we'll hear from all of your top 3 drivers. See if Julian's available for comment right now and try to hit up the number 11, 3rd place finish.
Do not see him yet. But we can grab Craig if we need to.
And ask Julian to get in the waiting room right now, so we'll see if that's necessary. Either way, Julian with us as we speak.
Is.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello, Julian. Much better race this time around. Got Murph there at the end to get on that bottom step of the podium. And also you made up a few points on Bruno in the championship. All in all, not too bad, really.
Yeah, after that, I won't say the full word, don't worry. After the cluster F of last week at Imola, then I think I'm pretty happy with that to make up some points. I'm still cringing at that, to be honest. That was a real rookie error. You make one of those every once in a while, I guess.
Sure, we're all human.
It definitely hurt at the time, but yeah, in terms of the battle with Mark, it was amazing. Mark and I know each other well enough, and I think had it been anybody else, that it would have ended in tears. I just looked at the replay and I was just fractionally clear, and I knew that was my shot at getting the position. So yeah, I just knew that was the moment to do it, and I was just about clear enough as well. Because right when I was actually turning, my spotter and iRacing also said that was. Then I knew, okay, I can actually go take a hard ride to take the outside, because I tried passing Mark on the inside. It just wasn't possible.
As those tires got older, that inside line, especially in 1 and 2, just wasn't paying dividends like it was early in a run. Late in the run, you had to be on that outside. So setting up that outside, we saw one time you tried to sneak through, and they slammed the door on you, almost put you in the wall. And then a couple laps later, Bruno tried to do the same thing, and I think he did the old Brazilian clear to him, kind of moved up and said, "Hey, not today, Bruno." But that was a heck of a battle between you three there at the end. So very entertaining. That's kind of what we were watching. But any shout outs, anything you want to say to everybody watching at home? Because I would imagine after today, not to win, but you're fairly happy after kind of the last couple races, not just in the IR18 series, but certainly after the DW12 show from last night.
Yeah, last night wasn't great for me. Yeah, the last two races that I did weren't great, but I think those two from tonight made up for it. Do want to go back to the battle with Bruno. It was good, but like you mentioned, the Brazilian Claire wasn't too happy about that, so I gave him one back a couple laps later. So it's all good. Bruno and I know, just like Mark and I do. Bruno and I know how to. So good. I'm not upset about any. He knows that was probably a little bit too late. I'm not gonna throw a hissy fit about it. It was good racing. Just hard and aggressive, exactly how I like it. It was clean and respectful as well, which is the most important thing. So, wanna shout out you guys for broadcasting again. It's just the same little riddle as always for the Raceway. Red Engineering eSports for sponsoring the race. They're also sponsoring next race, in 2 weeks at Texas. So it's good to have them on board as well. And as always, as well, the team did a good job. Thanks to Dan for especially helping me out with the fuel at the end there, because I still use auto fuel sometimes, and it kind of grabs me in the rear, so to speak, sometimes. So it was good to avoid that and have a teammate do the strategy for me for a change. So that was really nice and great to have. And just everybody that put on a great race today. I think we only had 1 or 2 cautions, so a really good race, really clean race. Definitely 100 times better than Phoenix went for a doubleheader. I am not 100% sure yet if I'm going to bring these back at all next season. If I do, it will be just one. But I will really have to wait and see how everybody liked it. Just going to give everybody a week or so to think about it and then run a vote or just ask people around for next season. I think personally it has potential, but it was a bit too chaotic, so that's why I wouldn't necessarily return it for more races like Formula 1 keeps doing for no reason at all. Like I say, it was fun. It was great to have a clean race again for once in a long time. I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier as well, and this really extends to the entire field. Like, even though you have a couple guys that aren't as experienced, they all know how to race clean and stuff, and that's why I didn't have a long driver's briefing too. Like, these guys know how to do it by now. And the show today, so hopefully we can keep it up.
Well, congratulations on the bottom step of the podium, and we will obviously see you next week as the championship continues at Texas.
Don't bring it so negatively. The bottom step of the podium. It is just a podium. That sounds better.
The bottom step is being no step at all.
Well, I mean, being second is being the first loser. Being third is the second, right?
That's just a matter of your opinion, no.
All right. I'll see you next race, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not see. There's Craig. We'll bring Craig in here. Hey, Craig, got you in here in the booth. You're in, David. Repeat it again. Put it right back on the podium. Another podium finish. Maximize as much as you can without getting 2 wins in a row of the points day. So congratulations. Did you have anything for Josh there at the end, or was he just that much faster than you?
No, he was just that much faster. Once he got ahead, I think there were about 10 or 15 laps in. I started to think that my tires might be a little bit better, and then he just started. Every time I started to get close, he just pulled away. So I didn't have anything for him.
Any fuel concerns at all? Getting past that first fuel stop and then hitting the next number after that? I would imagine there probably wasn't much fuel concerns. Just making sure everyone got the lap 80 and that last stop. Were you okay on fuel?
Yeah. No, I think everyone in that whole front group they may have been like, lap 82 or lap 83 or lap 80, but they knew that whatever number they were going in for, that was when they were going to go map 1. I went a little bit more conservative, a little bit longer, and I ended up with like 5 extra liters of fuel. So basically a gallon too much, but I wasn't willing to risk it. So I wanted to make sure that when I turned it up, we were going to have the fuel to get to the end.
Well, there you go. Next week we're going to Texas. We know you race well there. You're looking forward to Texas, and then of course we got a couple weeks from now the big wild card at Daytona.
Yeah, we're good at both of those. It's just that we're fully cognizant that we're only up here because Jesper hit the wall and damaged his car there, and Jesper and Josh and Julian are all great at those tracks. So it's going to be another tight battle all the way to the end, and hopefully it stays clean and we come across the line. It'd be nice to get another win, that's for sure.
There you go. Shout out to anyone who want to say hi to. Go right ahead.
Oh, Sam, I got to thank everyone over at 40 Racewear. Just had Jim message me here, so gonna talk to him offline. And you guys over at FTN, Gary and David, and Julian running VOR. The first race was a little sketchy, and this one was planted. So the evening is a good time for Gateway. That's for sure.
All right. Well, congratulations on the P2. We'll see you in a week when we get to Texas.
You betcha, guy. Stay safe.
All right, well, there we have it. We've actually, sorry me to cut you off, but there we have it. We found out what happened to Jesper, so that was some insight.
An unfortunate circumstance for a driver who did so well in keeping up. And I'll tell you this much, one more to speak to who got redemption unlike any other. Joshua Tucker. The first race, not the one you were hoping for. Pole position for both events, and I think this was more the result you expected the first time by. Victory here, and after 120 laps, Tucker getting it all done from the back of the field in the first race, finishing in the front this time by. What's it like from, of course, both sides of the spectrum?
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it was just, we had like 40, 45 centigrade track temps, which is like 120 F, somewhere in there, and that first race in the setup is just, there's really loose cars I struggle with, it's really Achilles heel, and, I tried to keep it as alive as long as I could, and, I'm real thankful I didn't take anybody out, just myself, but there was a lot of mechanical grip at night, and yeah, that just allowed me to kind of be more confident and control it, and it was just the right amount of laps to have, some strategy and, fuel playing and saving going on, and I think I just picked the right time to choose that was the time to lead the grid and kind of controlled it from there.
Hey, my question for you, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave. You had two rough races in a row. Of course, the WW12 race that we were watching last night on Race First, and then again the early out and the first race here, the doubleheader. You had to be thinking to yourself, "Oh, come on, man!" And you had to go you still had one more race to go. I mean, any thoughts of just saying, maybe it's just not my take. Maybe I just need to go take back, sick a breather. This is just a video game and relax.
No, I mean, not really, because honestly, kind of like you, and for whatever reasons that are unknown, like Gateway is actually really strong for me. So in Lionheart, I started from the back. I think it was like 26th or something and finished 8th. Because I just wanted to survive. I was trying to get my X limit down and still get a top 10 out of it. And that league is nuts. It's a great result. And so it's some place I'm really fond of, but it's also a place that, it's really easy to tune this car to be just a little bit too loose. And that's probably what, I really need to focus on. And, I think you've seen me crash out a lot, as soon as I think you mentioned, a car is loose, you can probably bet Tucker's hitting a wall at some point. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, it's a progress. I think I'm still an iRacing sophomore. So I'm still have a long way to go, but it's getting there, and I don't really, I'm very much a fighter, so definitely not going to stop anytime soon.
Oh, congrats, man! I appreciate the perseverance, and definitely you got to feel definitely very good after kind of because I could hear in your voice you knew you could do it. You knew you could nail it. Just for whatever reason, last night and the first race tonight just didn't go your way. And just keep at it and not quitting says a lot. So congrats, man.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you guys for what you do. It's I'm sure it's going to be an amazing broadcast to be able to watch.
Joshua Tucker, number 77. If you have any final shout outs for us, make sure to let us know.
Yeah, just thanks to my mentor, Jesper Orman and Seb Alexander, the guys at IAR and Rider Engineering as well for sponsoring the race, and my wife that lets me do this crazy mess.
That's the important one right there. Let's just be fair.
Exactly.
Let's
Absolutely.
Just be fair. Yeah.
So you guys have a good one, and see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, I'll catch you at Texas.
All right, thank you, man.
Joshua Tucker on the way. We've spoken to our top three to wrap up 2 great races in one event. Now, I'll tell you this much, Gary, final doubleheader of the campaign. So wrap up this part of the tour. What are our big takeaways here as we move on to, of course, what's next on the schedule? We're looking on after Gateway. Immediately after, we're going to be looking to, of course, Texas. Going to be 800 kilometers.
Yeah, I might have said next week. Actually, they got 2 weeks. They got the 27th, the next race. So those that had some wounds for this race got a little extra time to lick those and feel better. Those that needed some practice, you're going to have lots of practice here the next week to kind of get your car ready or get your strategies ready for Texas. I believe this is going to be might be the old Texas where it's the 24-degree banking all the way around. I could be wrong there. But I do know that if we see Jesper Orman in the lineup, that is, we know New Texas is, that's like a home game for him. He never, hardly ever loses there. And same thing with Murph. Murph does a really good job there as well. I expect some of the same names to see up to the front. But now we're getting to the point of the schedule where we start thinking now we're going to start crowning a champion, and we got to get past Daytona. That Daytona is that last gotcha race. And then getting us, it really comes down to these last 2 races at Suzuka and California. And Bruno needing to put himself in a position where he just needs to get solid finishes, doesn't need to do anything crazy in order to clinch this championship. What he needs to do is get the people around him to do all the crazy stuff while he kind of takes the conservative win, or at least the conservative approach in terms of closing the championship out and getting the win. So, or the overall championship crown. So, everyone next week, I think we're going to see kind of more of the same we saw here. Then we're going to see the wild card. And the big races, I think that we really need to circle on the calendar are Suzuka and California to close it out, because that's going to give one more shot for those that run really good on road courses. Give them one more shot, and then no holds barred. Everything's legal, so to speak, in the last race.
And just a few weeks away from that overall finale, we'll be taking a break until we move on to Texas. However, we hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of the Gateway doubleheader here in the IR18 series. We'll be back on FTN in a few hours at Legacy, Texas for 100 laps of stock car racing, and we'll return in 2 Saturdays' time with the IR18 series. Once again, I've been David Kreutz, joined alongside Gary Godso for tonight's racing, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage of the Rider Engineering Gateway 200, and we hope you have a fantastic night.